Hello everyone, Taylor here, and today I want to talk to you all about a film called The Lobster. Now, if you haven't seen The Lobster, I highly recommend it. It was on Amazon Prime. I don't know if it's still there or not, but if you have Amazon Prime, please go check it out. It is a movie that kind of took me by surprise. I watched it pretty late. I watched it this year. It came out in 2015 on the recommendation of a bunch of people who were completely blown away by it, and I've got to say that it's completely worth it. So, from this point on, if you haven't seen it, just letting you know I am going to talk pretty heavily about the film, so here we go. I guess to start off, I'd like to say that I really enjoyed the social commentary aspect of it. It is a form of a dystopian society in kind of an abstract, absurd way, but it is a dystopia in a sense because if you are not partnered up with someone, if you are not a couple, you are sent to a special hotel where you have 45 days to become partnered up with someone, or you get turned into an animal and sent out to the wild, basically. And thinking about it and the way that at least American society, because that's where I live and that's what I know, at least in American society, people are constantly prodding and poking, and if you're single, like, hey, so do you have a boyfriend yet? Do you have a girlfriend yet? It's, you're getting, you should probably be looking into that and doing something about that, and I want grandkids, and all that crazy stuff where either all your friends are dating someone and you're single and it becomes this whole thing. But that is a constant in this society, and it's interesting to see it taken to such an extreme in the sense that it's not legal, basically, for you to be single in that society. You have to be partnered up, and you have 45 days to figure it out. Otherwise, you're going into the wild and you're going to be an animal, and that's how you're going to live your life. And I think it's not too much of a stretch to say that it's basically saying, society now looks at single people as less, sees them as maybe less civilized or less mature, or just less in general. And I think it's a very interesting take for a film to have, because it's something I haven't quite seen before, at least not done in this way. And another thing that really caught my attention is the fact that in order to partner up, your partner has to have a trait that kind of defines them, and it has to be the same one that you have. So, for example, there is a character that has a limp. So unless a woman comes in that door that has a limp, that's not going to heal, because there is a woman that comes in with a limp, but it's going to heal, so that disqualifies them from partnering up. Which I think is another commentary on our society, that there are expectations that people have when people couple up. A lot of the time, just having a good chemistry with someone and just loving them because they're them, sometimes that's not enough for people to hear. Sometimes if you don't have X, Y, and Z in common, that's just looked down upon. And in this case, it's just not even allowed. Like, if you don't have those distinguishing characteristics in common, you're kind of out of luck. Another really cool part of the film was all the propaganda as well towards couples and partnering up really being the only way. They put on a lot of demonstrations in the film, mandatory demonstrations that everyone in the hotel has to go to, where they kind of act out the horrible things that'll happen to you if you're single, and why that's so bad and just something that's unacceptable, which some of the examples they use are pretty extreme too, which is interesting that they push it that far as kind of a brainwashing technique for everyone in the hotel. So that was something that I really think is very relevant right now. There's kind of a shift, I feel like, as far as relationships go, because, you know, a lot of people are very avid believers that the younger generation is waiting longer to get married, doesn't want to be in relationships, and the sanctity of marriage and those kind of relationships are kind of falling apart and falling to the wayside. And so it's just a really relevant, interesting social commentary, to me at least, that I really was captivated by the entire time. Something else that I really enjoyed about the film was just the artistic vibe of the film. I really enjoyed the way that it was shot. I thought that I don't know, just stylistically, something about it felt dystopian to me, but in a very relatable way. Like, it was dystopian in the sense that things had been taken so far that there were regulations on things that we have now that we're very much free to decide and have complete and total liberty when it comes to making those decisions, at least in this country. And to have it be pushed so far that either, you know, maybe relationships were getting to the point that they were just so non-existent that things were crumbling, or something to that extent that pushed this society to inflict these rules for something that's supposed to be so natural and free and just develop, instead of having it forced upon people within a specific time limit. The ending of the movie is really what I would like to talk about, because I'm still not sure how I feel about it. So if you haven't seen the movie, which I hope you're not watching this if you haven't seen the movie, but there is a point where the main character, who is played by Colin Farrell, is forced to escape to the woods with all of the loners. And he meets a girl who also has vision issues. I believe they're both nearsighted. It's either they're both nearsighted or farsighted, but I'm pretty sure they're both nearsighted. And so they connect because of that trait. And even there, outside of where these rules are supposed to be inflicted, romance is forbidden. So they have to be secret about it. And of course someone finds out, and the girl, who's played by Rachel Weisz, who is amazing, she ends up becoming blinded. And so it really just kind of destroys that relationship they were trying to form from the very core. Because even though they're not in the hotel living by those rules and playing by those rules, they still have this, I guess, constraint of belief where if they don't have that one significant characteristic that defines both of them, they don't have anything to base the relationship off of. It just completely falls to pieces. But they try to fight against it, say they'll figure it out, and so they go to a diner. They escape to the town, to the city, and they go to a diner, and she sits at the table and he goes into the bathroom with the intent to blind himself so that they once again have that same defining characteristic. And we see her sit at the table, and we see him in the bathroom, and he has a knife, and we see him thinking about doing it. He's about to do it. And then that's it. The movie ends, and we don't know if he actually blinds himself. We don't know if he changes his mind and leaves her there. We don't know. And to me, endings like that sometimes don't sit super well with me, just because it drives me a little bit crazy. Like, I want to know what happens. But I guess it is also kind of an appropriate ending for the style of the movie and the message of the movie, at least the message that I got out of the movie. And that's really, to me, my takeaway was, what is the basis of the relationships that you're forming in your life? What are those characteristics or qualities or whatever it may be that you're basing the relationships that you form off of? What's important to you? How far are you willing to go to make relationships work? Things like that. That's kind of the message that I took out of it with the way that it ended. And it really, made me think, and it really came to me in a time that's very relevant for me in my life, in the point that I am with certain relationships that I have, or certain relationships that I had but no longer have, and friendships and things like that. And so for me, I really, really thoroughly enjoyed this movie. I would give it a 9. I loved it so much. And I know it's not a movie that's going to be for everybody. It has a very specific style. Like I said, the story is very much a commentary. It's very much something that'll get you to think, which I enjoy. But I really would like to know your guys' thoughts. If you've seen the movie, please join in the discussion here with what I'm talking about. I really want to know what you took away from the movie, how it made you feel, what it made you think about. If you have the same opinions as me, if you kind of feel like that's what the movie was trying to be, or if you have a completely different perspective on it, I'd really like to hear that as well. But thank you guys so much for watching, and I really hope you enjoyed this. I hope you enjoyed the movie if you watched it. Please like and subscribe and get into a discussion with me in the comments, and I will see you all next time.